Hey everybody, it's another This Week in Nano, a weekly show where some Nano core members come on and talk about what's been going on this week. I'm Shawn, your host. I host this and also Nanocast. And today we've got...
I'm Troy. I do communications and public relations for Nano.
And...
I'm Roy. I do software development for Nano.
Hey guys, thanks so much for coming on. Now, I think one of the main things that's been on people's minds this past week is on Sunday, there was some issues with the network, or I don't know if you want to call them issues. Somebody wasn't very friendly with the network. So Roy, since you're here, why don't you tell us what's going on? Roy, if you want to give an update on what happened first, that might be good.
Yeah, it looks like somebody was just spamming dust to a Lambo account. So just kind of clogging the network. But Roy's definitely can kind of go into more detail about what's being done to keep that kind of stuff from happening.
Yeah, so part of the problem is that voting traffic is much more significant in terms of bandwidth than the actual block traffic. So it serves as a multiplier. Every block right now generates about 40 kilobytes in the ideal case, of voting traffic. With 128 representatives, there may be more or less, but that's the estimate we've been working off of. And we're hoping to bring that down to about 600 bytes with some improvements to voting. We're going to do voting by hash and then hopefully be able to improve that even further so that voting traffic no longer dominates the network compared to the actual block itself. So it will serve to reduce that amplification effect. Besides that, there's going to be a lot more changes, especially lazy bootstrapping, reduce the need for voting. Ultimately, the changes we're making should get the voting traffic down to 0.1% of what it is now. So it'll be 99.9% reduction in voting traffic on the peer-to-peer network, which will make the bandwidth more able to be used for transactions.
Yeah, you want the actual network to, if it's slowed, to be because it's being used, not because there's just voting being rebroadcasted over and over and over. So as soon as that's optimized, we can kind of move forward.
That's the ideal case where the voting only happens one time. It can get a lot worse if it starts to go into congestion where packets are not. The UDP network is packet oriented, and so they'll get dropped and then they'll have to be rebroadcast.
I guess for a person like me, a couple questions that come to mind are why was it not like this in the first place?
There were several changes that have been made before we could make these changes. Vote by hash. It will require the node to actually have the block ahead of time. But previously, the block and the vote came in together. So you didn't have to guess about what the block might be. You didn't have to receive it separately. You could receive it as part of the vote. Vote by hash, which will save an enormous amount of bandwidth, relies upon you getting the block separately from the vote. And so it will be sort of a design change there. And lazy bootstrapping is a radical departure from the normal active bootstrapping mechanism where we pull in the entire ledger and try to be a full node all the time by interrogating additional nodes, and which can generate a lot of confirmation traffic and additional voting that really doesn't need to be done because of the way the Merkle tree is structured. The other change was where we're going to reduce the rebroadcasting of votes. We should see a 75% decrease in traffic from that change alone. We couldn't do this before because of the way the network confirmed blocks. We didn't want there to be an option for packets to get lost and causing blocks to be unconfirmed. But we've solved that problem in a different way now, so we can now take that out.
Cool. Yeah, and that kind of answers my second question, which would have been, why hasn't it happened yet? And it's just because the evolution of the network, it had to, we have to go step by step.
Right, and in some cases, we have to wait for a significant portion of the network to be running a new enough version of the code before we can use features. Otherwise, we'll be, segregating the network and partitioning it unnecessarily.
Mm-hmm. Did the stuff that happened on Sunday, did that change the timeline or reorder the things that you were planning on working on?
No, all that stuff was things we were already working on for version 15. None of that stuff is new or unexpected. We already knew all of this stuff, and we knew that the effects on the network would be significant. And this is stuff we've been planning for a while. I did organize a list of the version 15 stuff, but I think we'd already talked about it prior to Sunday as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It almost makes you wonder if they heard what you were going to do and they were like, I wonder if I can mess them up right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the thinking was. Maybe they were just wanting to get a baseline benchmark. It's hard to say what their intentions were based on their actions, but as far as the development process, it didn't affect anything we were working on.
Yeah.
Just the production network, the global network, was affected because of the current implementation hasn't been obviously upgraded yet.
Right. Troy, do you have anything to add on to that?
No, I think Roy pretty much said it correctly. It's just all optimizing now. Like I said, we've kind of made the protocol a little more robust here the last several months, and it's re-optimizing it and getting the scalability back up, and while maintaining the speed. So, moving forward, this is it's just a temporary annoyance more than anything. Nothing broke. It's just annoying. So we'll get it fixed. We know what the problems are. This is nothing, we didn't learn from this. It's kind of we just need to get version 15 out with the next set of upgrades and move forward.
All right, cool.
The changes will also improve disk I/O, which is another thing that we haven't seen discussed as much, but is a major problem for node operators. And so that was also part of Sunday's problem. It was just not as pronounced as the network I/O. But lazy bootstrapping will remove the unchecked table entirely, so there won't be any copying of large portions of the database around when things are confirmed. They'll be added to the database when they are confirmed.
Yep.
Yeah, the I/O usage has been an issue for I don't know since January, I think, and it's just one that needs to get focused on. Obviously, if you're running a representative and running a node and you're not directly getting incentivized from that, it needs to be easy to do. It needs to be lightweight. We can't have people, obviously, like being at max CPU usage with terabytes of data being used here, and expect them to continuously be running that as through altruism. So need to get it fixed. We're working on it. It's the goal.
Yep. I mean, if nothing else, it was great to see that the whole network didn't implode. It kept working. Nodes fell off, but it was still chugging along. All right. So moving on to something a little bit more positive. What's going on with China? I saw that you were making some marketing moves there.
Yes, we have a guy, Max Chow, in Shanghai, who's been working with us. Him and Tito are over there, and they're kind of getting ready for our Chinese rollout. They're working with a firm over there called Win PR. It's a marketing PR firm. And it's just going to be blasting content out over there, through WeChat, through Weibo, and then translating stuff that we send them, translating stuff, good Reddit posts and good community posts that we see. Basically just blasting content out there so that when the market picks up a little bit and they see people see a 10% green candle or something, not to really talk about price a whole lot, but that's the best marketing, that they can then go and learn about Nano and join a community and kind of like how we've seen ours grow, kind of hopefully grow it organically the same kind of way. So I'm excited to see some results from over there, and excited to share results with the community when we get them. I know everybody's been anxious to kind of tap into that Asian market that we're, it's such a big market, and we're just not really in there yet. I think I'll put our Western community basically up against anybody's as far as how active they are and how strong the community is. So it's just building that out, and it's difficult to do, especially just as a central foundation, kind of handling all of that. But we're working on it. Working on getting on more exchanges over Korea, Japan, and China, so that it's available over there. Working on getting, trying to get the fiat on ramp so they can go directly from their currency, in Europe and in Asia. USD is a little tougher, but yeah, hopefully we have some, I think we'll have some stuff to share soon. So excited, excited. Just going to keep moving forward.
Sweet. All right. Well, while we're on the topic of other countries, there's been a lot of people posting on Reddit about translations and about how the website hasn't been translated in a bunch of languages and blah, blah, blah. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, this is, we know it has to be done. The reason it hasn't been done is that we are rolling out a new website. It's been delayed, and I apologize for that. It should have been out already. Working to get it out as soon as possible. As soon as that's done, we will get it translated into every language possible. We just don't want to have the community all come through the website and have to redo it like a week later. That's kind of been the holdup here. It's kind of been a week later for the past month or two. So promise, working on that. We'll get that through. We'll get everything translated. We need to have it, like you said, we need the Chinese version. We need the Spanish version. We have the white paper, which is great, and the community's been great helping us through translations. And we know that we can kind of leverage our community support in getting that stuff done. So as soon as that's rolled out, we'll have full language support.
Sweet. And also another kind of theme and posts recently has been about branding. There was a guy that put on a really extensive Medium post of branding.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was really good.
I don't know if you remember, he did the same one. He did the Rayblox rebrand back in January, and he kind of did a full kind of like a branding campaign for Rayblox. Now, and then we switched, I think, to Nano like the week later. But yeah, obviously very talented. We have several very, very, very talented designers in the community. And we're going to be working with a branding agency I think beginning of next week. So we'll be meeting with them, kind of distinguishing what our message is going forward and what is the best messages to that we want to share to kind of what the idea of Nano is, and then we'll be working with we need that consistent. We want that consistent image and that consistent message, and just blast that out, kind of on all platforms.
Mm-hmm. Sweet. Well, we're looking forward to seeing what comes out there.
Me too.
And just kind of, I mean, obviously there's always a lot of stuff going on in the background. But
I will say one of the coolest things about working on this project, though, is waking up in the morning, checking my cell phone, going on subreddit, and seeing a post like that. Like that's just somebody from the community did that. It literally like makes you just want to get up and work on this, because it's so cool. And I know Colin touched on that in your interview with him yesterday. Just kind of when people started all of a sudden just building around the project, it really, you really feel like you're working on something special. So it's great. We love it. One of the coolest things. You just don't get that really in any other industry or job or.
Yeah. And that's a really great transition to the last two topics I wanted to touch on. One is at the end of the interview with Colin, he talked about the future of Nano kind of turning into, obviously it's a decentralized project. It can't have a centralized organization forever. So what does that look like in the future? Do you have any more thoughts on that besides what he said?
Well, I think one of one of the really nice things about Nano is we didn't launch the project with a core team, right? Like the core team has all come into the project as just somebody that saw it, thought it was neat, got involved, right? So it's not like we, all worked together and said, hey, let's launch this cryptocurrency and you'll do this and you'll do this and you'll do this. Everybody was kind of excited by it, was working on it, was in GitHub or was in the development channel on Discord and kind of pitching ideas and reviewing code. And you just can identify talented people through that, and they were brought on. So that's kind of the goal, for as far as the foundation. The whole foundation's point is purpose is to drive the project forward. That's it. We don't want to be like the arbiters of Nano. We want to work with the community on the best direction for it. We want to bring talented community members or talented people that are involved with Nano into the foundation. So it's really just kind of getting Nano to a stable point and then getting people to work on it. Long term, it's not going to be a team of 7-8 people that's just running this day to day. I mean, you're talking a couple of years down the line, we want this to be fully open sourced. We want this to be, I mean, it is open source, but we want this to just be completely community development at some point here, which is kind of the goal with all of these, a lot of these cryptocurrencies.
A big part of that is having multiple independent implementations. And so we're working towards making that easier by documenting the protocol and the network interfaces, and not just what they are, but what they mean semantically, especially with some of the changes we're making. Those are all being documented a little better than the previous ones. And for the existing primitives, those are being documented, as time goes on, but we're going to do a better job of it. The lazy bootstrapping and some of the primitives that have gone in have a little bit more documentation around them. And as those go live, they'll have even more formal documentation that helps people integrating, implementing other node implementations, make compatible implementations with the ones we implement. So the code will hopefully no longer be the authoritative source. Instead, we'll have an actual document interface that serves as a contract for the network.
Yeah, and we're just, it's a different, Nano's different than Bitcoin or ERC20 tokens, and we just need to make it easy for new developers to come on when they're interested, that they can kind of learn how the network works and get involved as quickly as possible. Because we've seen that as people come and check it out and look and say, well, this shouldn't work, and then they look at it and go, whoa, okay, this is neat, this is neat, this is neat, and then they kind of really dive into it. So just making it as easy as possible. And I've seen Roy is documenting everything. I mean, he's kind of making like the Nano dictionary.
That's sweet. And as you were talking about kind of what we hope that Nano will turn into in the future, I was thinking of one of the projects within the Nano ecosystem, the Canoe wallet, and how that's very much how they've kind of been running that organization from the beginning.
I feel like their team came along together just like our team came together, and it's just so cool. I mean, I saw Goran talking about it one day in the Discord, just saying I'm going to make a wallet, and then you just see all of a sudden he's got a team of 7 or 8 people, each doing different stuff. They managed to do it over several different platforms. It's just, like I said, that kind of stuff is just awesome to see. So they've been great to work with. They've worked closely with us since they've started, and it's just a great team, talented team. Was great, had some great answers on Wednesday when I profiled them. So if anybody didn't see that, be sure to check that out on our Medium. But yeah, just huge fans.
And I also did an interview with Joran on the first season of the Nanocast.
Joran, I apologize.
And I mean, I'm sure I'm saying it wrong too. We're both saying it.
It's the problem with just knowing everybody from Discord and or Slack or Reddit.
Yeah. But yeah, check out that interview if you want more information about kind of the heart of that team and the direction that they're hoping to go. One thing that I thought was really cool from the highlight this past week was the reason why Canoe is the logo, or the name, and then they have a logo that looks like a canoe.
It was like literally the worst part of rebranding for me, is because I was like, this is such a cool name and it has such a cool meaning with Ray blocks.
Mm-hmm. So for those who don't know, Ray blocks was this stone that people used in what is that set of islands called? Yeah,
I'll have to
the Pacific Islanders, used as like a form of exchange. And in order to get the stones from island to island, they would have to carry them in canoes because they were so big. So just like then, now you use Canoe to transfer your Nano from place to place, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool. I had brought that up to somebody on Twitter the other day and kind of got some replies of nobody had any idea. So I made sure that we included that there on Wednesday, so
yeah,
people could see that.
Yeah, and so there's Canoe's doing awesome stuff, and then projects continue to come out of the Nano Center. Like, in addition to the core team working, keeping things going, I feel like the community is really putting out a lot of stuff too.
Oh, well, that's when I started doing the weekly project highlights, Zach had said to me, shouldn't you do this like every other week, or so just so you don't run out of them? Like, dude, I feel like there's 100 projects going on right now. Like, we're good. I mean, if it gets to that point, then we get to that point and we highlighted all of them. I mean, we can run it. We can go for round 2. It's I'm not having an issue filling these slots. And if I haven't gotten to you yet, don't worry. I have a list. I'm going to be covering every single.
Great. So I guess my internet bleeped out there for a second. You're going to be trying to cover every single one of them, I believe is what you said.
Yeah, I'm going to be trying to talk with the creators of, if you create something around Nano, like, we want to know how you got involved and give you a chance to kind of get some more exposure in the community to your project. All
right. Cool. Well, I think that turned out to be a really robust conversation for this week in Nano. We felt like it was going to be short, but we had lots to say.
I feel like that happens every week. We're like, I'll just do a quick 10 minutes, and then it's like 45 minutes later.
So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and tune in next time for this week in Nano.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.